my mum's side of the family would be very middle class, but like the good kind, like really lovely.
Do you know what I love about people who are either working class, have working class roots, or they're from that. When they talk about middle class people, it's not going like they're middle class, but they're nice. It's like, but they're nice.
It's like having old relatives from Germany and being like, but they weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
They liked everyone,
yeah, exactly. Like that. This week's class clown is one of Northern Ireland's biggest comedy stars. He supported legends like Bill Burr, John Mulaney and Kevin Hart. He hosts one of the fastest rising podcasts out there, Tea With Me, and you can catch him on his current Hold Me Back tour. This is the amazing Seann Todd. Seann, thanks so much. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I was just watching your stand-up. I was refreshing my memory with your stand-up on the way here, and it is... I genuinely didn't want my journey to end because I was enjoying it so much. I got just past the routine about being allowed access into the petrol station.
Service station.
Yes, the service station.
Yeah. When
he's actually let you in through the automatic doors. Yeah. But I really loved it. And what I wondered, and I thought, I hate to put comedians on the spot with this, but I just think it helps in terms of kind of making that connection between who you were as a young man, as a boy in your youth, to who you are today. How would you describe your act? Before you answer that, I would say that I felt like, and I mean this in a positive thing, that you were getting, it feels like you're getting quite a lot of you in it, as opposed to a kind of persona or character.
Yes, and but that's not that new of a so that is kind of a new thing for me.
Oh, right.
To do that.
I was watching a kind of new version of, or the kind of latest version of
Yeah.
You. Oh, right.
Because I was, my material, because I think because I started stand-up so young, I fell into this trap of it was always like, what should I be doing? And I was probably, I maybe had like half a dozen comedians I really liked, so I was building my style on a combination of theirs as opposed to like what I actually really like doing, or it was based on what would a commissioner like, so it was that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I have to say I've never heard someone basing anything on what a commissioner would like.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you kind of make a choice about what you think they might like? How old are you at this point? Because I appreciate you've been doing it a long time.
I'm 37 now. Started when I was 18. Wow. So I was trying to be a bit like, maybe a bit too safe and not really exploring the things that make me weird, I guess. I was maybe trying to come across as kind of like cool,
Okay.
Trying to come across like kind of smooth and that sort of thing. And
was
then
it PG material? Is that what you mean by a commissioner? It was kind of broad and friendly. And
yeah, and people probably think, a lot of my friends in comedy would probably class me as a clean act, but actually I'm not. I do swear in myself, but people think I don't, and I don't swear very often. I have no issue if people were like, "You're a clean comic." I wouldn't be like, cause people could be offended by that.
Yeah.
No, I do. I'm a bit edgy.
I'm an edgelord.
Yeah, but then I'm not an edgy person. I am a relatively not dull, but like. But like my tastes are.
It's not good when you're having to deny that you're dull, is it? I'm not.
And no one's accused me of it.
I'm not dull.
But I just like, I'm not like a wild guy.
Yeah.
At all. And some really boring stuff really excites me.
Well, that's part of the even from what I've just seen. There's that idea of the kind of normality of life, the mundanity of life.
Yeah.
Making you laugh, and then it turns into stand-up.
So I would probably...
Sorry, not the mundane.
Yeah, I would probably say I have a storytelling style.
Yes, and that's what I loved about it.
But I think I've in the last 2 shows, I've got a bit punchier. Sometimes I felt like I had long stories, which is okay.
Yeah.
But then if I was doing maybe a spot somewhere, say I was in a comedy club in America or something,
yes.
I was like, my bits are all long stories, so I need like more machine gun type stuff.
Okay, yes.
So yeah, I would say it's all deprecating as well. That's what I like to do.
Yes.
Is deprecating comedy, and I actually, if I'm around a group of friends, and kind of have always been this way, I like when the joke is on me.
Absolutely.
And everyone's in on it, and you're kind of like getting, and you're giving it back and I like that a lot.
Well, okay, let's then try and pin that, if you don't mind. try and pin that to why that might be. And I imagine that would take us quite far back of what is it about being self-deprecating that you enjoy? Were you like, I suppose the question there is, were you like that at school? That's
probably not. Probably not at school. I wouldn't have liked to joke too. I was desperate to have made people laugh. When I was growing up in school. No, if the joke being on me, no, probably not. I probably didn't want. I loved making people laugh in school, but like just a little bit, just a bit of funny stuff, and then drop back a bit.
Well, it's interesting because there are some comedians that when they first start, and I would say, well, certainly when I was starting, this would be most comedians would kind of open their set with how they look, which is kind of, when you think about it, it's often people's is kind of their biggest insecurities.
Yeah.
You go out there and you make the joke that you're worried kind of everyone is thinking about. And Adam Rowe, who did the pod, who's a friend of mine and who I love and admire, I remember he kind of said he was different in that he refused to mention his eye. He wouldn't talk about his eye. And then it was only when he kind of got the confidence to talk about his eye, he then would make jokes.
I'd say a similar thing.
Yeah.
In that probably now I'm thinking about it, I kind of had I always tried to portray an image for the first long years of me doing stand-up that I, like I said, was a lot cooler than I was.
Right, yeah.
But I think my stand-up's got way better since I've realised, I'm not. And that's all right, and that's kind of funny. Because I do loads of physical stuff now about like the way I look and maybe looking a bit like Ellen DeGeneres or whatever.
Oh, well, there was a joke where the opener was about, so you looked at a comment on Reddit.
Yeah.
What was it that you saw on Reddit?
About someone saying I looked like I was transitioning, but they didn't know what way I was ending up. But like, I would have taken, you say like a bad YouTube comment or a bit of trolling. When I started, because I was young, I would have taken that badly. Like it would have hurt.
Well, do you know what? You're 37, so I'm 40. Because I was affected by that as well.
Yeah.
See, okay, let me just try and sort this timeline out in my head. When I started, the phrase trolling didn't exist.
No.
And I think when I started comedy, the idea that a member of the public, would write something horrible about you and send it to you was absolutely not a concept.
Yeah.
That wasn't a world that
I'd
ever contemplated existing. So, when did that first happen?
I don't know.
You would have been young, man. I was young, but I wasn't as young as you.
Yeah. But then I suppose I did stand-up for a load of years and then I did some online videos. So I already had built up a bit of a thick skin, having been doing these, at times, horrible gigs live and been heckled on stage. So when it first came around, maybe my only saving grace was that whatever you're going to say online is not worse to the death I had in this, hall in the middle of Northern Ireland where, you just get called shit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
is that the kind of heck? Would you really get just called shit?
Yeah. Or when does the comedy start? Which by the way is good. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like that was good. But
it's just kind of difficult to untie, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is someone saying when does the comedy start? You've kind of. The fact that someone has said that, let's be honest, that means you're not having a good gig.
Yeah, you're not.
You don't. So that person's right.
Yes,
that's the problem.
Yes,
because people say to me, they go, "Oh God, what's it like getting heckled?" And I've basically said the same thing since I started, which is, if you're having a good gig, it's easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. You're having a good gig and someone heckles you, who cares?
Yeah.
If you're having a bad gig and someone heckles you, there's no way out.
No, and especially if it's funny. You know, and I think you battle at the start. You're having a bad gig, someone heckles something funny, you try and come back to them and it doesn't work. It never worked. I never remember turning it round. But I think also probably since fatherhood as well, since becoming a dad, I've probably got better at being deprecating and just relaxing into this thing of like, I'm not this kind of slick guy that I maybe was trying to portray on stage.
Why were you just out of interest? Why were you trying to portray? Because obviously I didn't at all get that impression in the latest special. Remind me what it's called. Whatever I'm
Oh, whatever I need to be.
Whatever I need to be, right? Yeah, and I highly recommend that people can just,
Thanks.
as soon as they've stopped watching this, go and watch that immediately. But you don't get the sense that you're doing that at all. Obviously, you said you're trying to kind of open up a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But where did that come from then? Because I don't think I had that. Maybe I did in a different way.
What that?
Trying to be in your head, being conscious of being kind of cool.
Oh, probably.
Were you cool at school?
No,
So was
not
it
at
a
all.
kind of reaction to that?
I think it was maybe because I never would have done a school play or anything like that,
Okay.
or had the confidence to do that. But
I think
inside
that makes you
I'd
quite
loved.
unique, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Comedians. A lot of
Some more
comedians
people
I've
did stuff.
found, they will end up in that play, the school play.
No, I literally was in the school choir, reluctantly, didn't want to be. I wouldn't sing out loud. I just mind. I lip synced in the school choir. And now, if that had been then with the trolling,
Oh my God.
people in your school would have,
Yeah.
they would have come at you for that. There would have been a subreddit about, I think this guy's miming in the school during lesson dorma, but
like zooming in, playing it in slow motion.
yeah.
VAR
Yeah.
on whether or not you're singing out loud.
So I know I absolutely was not cool at school, and I would love to have done. I remember being jealous when the school play was on because we'd have been in the choir kind of in the background, and I was like, God, I couldn't understand how anyone with lines acting in the play had it in them to get up and do that. I was not jealous of it, but I was like, God, I would love that to be me, but it never would. And then when I left school at 16, I went to college, and I also went to an all boys school. So when I was wearing my own clothes, travelling into the city centre on a bus every day and having that freedom, I really got comfortable in my own skin and felt really confident.
Oh, okay.
And I think I was like, this is what it should be. You're mixing with more people, and then kind of from there, I just felt like a bit more.
Oh, so you kind of
ease.
really, if you will, you kind of blossomed after coming out of secondary school.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
My school was very focused on being academic or being really good at being academic or being really good at rugby, and I was neither of those things. So I just felt like
this is the all boys school, the
Yeah.
secondary school.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that? So you weren't academic?
No. Do you know what? I might have. I had a bit of potential, but I was a daydreamer. I still am.
Yeah.
I would have quite a short attention span, and it's way better now. But no, I was not academic. But the second I remember doing class exams, and the teacher used to read the whole class's score out in order.
Oh my God.
And I remember the first couple of times
Horrifying.
I came in so low that it made a few people laugh. I thought, now this is good.
terrible.
I thought there's something in this. It was like I had it was like a limbo thing. I was like, how low can I go? And then I realised it gets to a point where it's too low, where no one's laughing, and people are like, should you be here?
I know. Yeah.
So no, I wasn't academic. I had a good potential, but I feel like I sort of got left behind a bit academically, and I focused more on making people laugh and just kind of messing about.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the people making people laugh, that I'm interested to know whether that daydreaming that you mentioned, do you think that has served you as a comedian, and do you think that was, whereas in class that might be detrimental and not help you, that actually that does serve you as the comedian?
Definitely, because I remember thinking in school. I remember at the time, if we were doing a story or something, I would be thinking instead of here's what happened in the story, I was going, what could have happened? Or imagine this had have happened.
Wow.
So it's thinking of what you do in stand-up, and and I remember being really good. If I had a creative subject, I remember I'd always like the teacher and the subject, and I'd look forward to that. But anytime it was learn this, or this is the formula for this, so that's always the answer.
Maths and
I hate it. Maths, science,
okay,
things like geography, but history, English lit, maybe languages a wee bit. If I engage with it, I really engage with it, and the likes of maths, I would just turn off straight away to it, and I would never recover from it. As in, I failed my maths GCSE, and I knew I was going to fail it.
Right.
And then when I went to college, I enrolled and I was in the class, and they were like, "Oh, we made a mistake. You needed to have a maths GCSE to do this course. We're not going to kick you out, but you've got to reset your maths GCSE." And I went, "Do I have to pass it?" And they went, "You need to sit it." So, and I went, "But if I pass, you're going to kick me out?" And they said no. And I was like, "Well, I'll sit it, but I'm not going to do any work for it." So I had to redo my maths GCSE 3 years in a row.
Until you pass?
No. That's the thing. They weren't going to kick me off the course. So I just showed up.
You've absolutely blagged that.
I know.
You've had a right result.
I know. They should have just told me. If they had said you need to pass, I love the course that much that I would have.
Right.
I would have done it.
Yeah, I would have given you.
I genuinely, on my life, I remember going in with, there's 2 parts of the maths GCSE.
Oh, I don't remember at all. I was the same as you.
One, you had to go in with a scientific calculator, and I had a giant novelty orange Smarties calculator, which was a big orange Smartie with buttons on it. That's it. That was my attitude.
Yeah. I don't think that kid's passing.
No, it didn't even have pi on it.
Yeah.
Just had 1 to 9 and a small screen, but I yeah.
And he's got an M&M pen as well. I really don't think he's going to get through to college.
I kind of hated school.
Well, let's just start at the beginning and maybe come back to school, because there's still a few things I want to know. Obviously, you were brought up in Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you born? What did that, and growing up as a child, what did that look like?
So
your kind of world.
Yeah, just outside Belfast, a town called Hollywood, which is where Rory McIlroy's from.
Okay.
Jamie Dornan as well. Gary Lightbody from Snow Patrol is from there. So small town, I think maybe 6,000-7,000 people. And it's only 5 miles away from Belfast, but felt like a different world growing up. So say England, the gap between places is so big, they're almost like their own little country sort of.
Yeah.
Whereas Northern Ireland, everywhere is so close, yet Belfast just felt like a million miles away.
Yeah.
Even though you get there in 5-10 minutes.
Yes, yeah.
But so I grew up after the worst of the troubles when I was growing up. So I of course remember hearing things and some things happening, but the brilliant thing about where I grew up is you could have say kids my age in a friendship group. You could have someone in a Celtic shirt, someone in a Rangers shirt, and they could just walk around the town centre together. And
you were the
in
first
Belfast,
generation.
that couldn't happen. Yeah.
Wow.
And in Belfast, that just couldn't have happened. That would be such a weird idea that could happen.
Wow.
But Hollywood was.
And do you know why
brilliant.
that is? Do you have an opinion on why that might have thought, or why that might be?
Hollywood's a more. If I were to say Hollywood, I'm sure there's equivalents here. The stereotypes, people go, "Oh, laddie da," sort of Hollywood, it's a.
Okay.
And there is really affluent parts of Hollywood, but then there are also. So my dad's side of the family are from the council estate there, which is called White City. So it is overall it's a nice town with nice people.
Right. Okay.
So nothing was ever really kicking off too bad.
Okay.
So it was a lovely place to grow up in. It was brilliant. The right size where everyone kind of knows everybody's business.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of gossip there. But then you feel safe, and you can go out when you can go down to the town on your bike.
Yeah.
And your dad knows you'll be alright, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
But it was a cracking place. I still have our podcast studios there. Even though I don't live in the town anymore, I just always want to keep that sort of link with my hometown.
Oh, that's lovely.
But it's great. It's such a brilliant town.
You mentioned a few of the names there that have come out
Yeah.
is it Hollywood?
Hollywood, yeah.
Hollywood. Do you think there's something about the place that has led to people being creative? There might not be, but sometimes when you find, because I'm from Brighton, so it's a very kind of, Brighton's a very kind of bohemian, creative place. And that was obviously very useful for me when I was young and going into stand-up. When you were young in Brighton, it was all, people were just, in bands. People were that's the kind of thing that people were doing it, so it was very normal.
Yeah, I don't even think anywhere at home you would describe as bohemian.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
nowhere has that. I know what you mean, but no, I don't know. I just think it was it's just a brilliant town. So no, I don't think there's anything creatively there, but just a cracking place to grow up.
So there's that kind of, like you say, an affluent part. There are affluent parts, but then there's an estate. Where did you? So you mentioned your dad is in White City. Where do you feel you fit in when it comes to the class hierarchy?
Probably technically bang in the middle of working class and middle class.
So there are these two kind of contrasting worlds that you're in the middle of.
Yeah, because my
that's
mum's
interesting within itself.
Yeah, and I think that is why I feel like I can sort of talk to anybody. It was a real good mix where my mum said the family would be very middle class, but like the good kind, like really lovely people, you know.
Do you know what I love about? Do you know what I love about people who are either working class, have working class roots, or they're from that. When they talk about middle class people, it's not going like they're middle class, but they're nice. It's like, they're nice.
It's like having old relatives from Germany and being like, but they weren't.
Yeah, exactly.
They liked everyone,
yeah, exactly. Like that.
They went on a long holiday in the 40s, but yeah. So my family are from those kind of two, almost like I would say different worlds, but all good people, all really good people.
Okay.
So I'm probably in the middle of those. But I would say growing up, I certainly spent more time because all my most of my dad's family did and still do live in one street. So one house after the other.
Yeah.
So that was like a place you could just go. So if you were visiting someone on my mum's side of the family, you would ring ahead to see if they were in, and they all live quite far apart.
Yeah.
But my dad's side of the family, because it's close to the house, you just cycle down, and then it didn't matter. Usually they were in, but you could go to anyone's house. People came and went, and you would be sure, there's going to be relatives there, there's going to be cousins my age and all this sort of thing.
Yes.
So I spent so much time there. Like that's where I would have felt like at home.
Yes, yeah.
So probably leaning.
So your mum and dad separated?
Yeah, when I was, I think 9 months. Sometimes I say 3 months when I'm talking about it in stand up because it's a bit funnier. But I got corrected. My mum said
I'm making a note of that. 3 months, funnier than 9 months.
My mum went. It was actually 9 months. It was like still not great. I know, still not great.
Yeah, we're still under a year. We're still talking in months, Mum. So were you aware? I don't imagine you were aware of this thing that was class.
No.
This concept that was no. And it's only, I suppose, when you get older that you kind of look back.
Well, I do remember feeling, because we were going on a summer holiday every year, and nice holidays, and I remember knowing that was a real like luxury.
All right.
And feeling that because I had friends because my group of friends were outside of school, which sounds like someone who didn't have friends outside of school but would lie about it. I'm like, all my mates are, my girlfriend's outside of school too. She's actually a model, but for Nuts magazine. But yeah, I remember my mates not going away, or if they did, it was within Ireland or whatever, or down to the caravan. And I remember knowing like, oh, this is actually great that I get to do that, and I'm lucky to get to do that. Yeah.
On a plane.
Yeah. I'm a Tenerife, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Place Las Americas, but...
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Just quickly, just to let you know, in case you don't know, I'm sure you do, but I am on tour with my new tour show. This is Torture. If you want to check out dates, go to SeannWalsh.com. I'm all over the place. Unfortunately, I'm not in Scotland. I keep on getting messages. I will come up to Scotland at some point, I promise you. There is a Welsh date at Swansea, but I'm kind of all around England for now. This is just the spring tour, and of course the London date is at the Hackney Empire, so please come along. SeannWalsh.com. Leeds, Salford, Bury St Edmunds is the first one. Those are where Birmingham at the Old Rep. There's loads. Brighton, of course, my hometown, homecoming gig. Lots of those shows off the top of my head. But go to SeannWalsh.com to check if I'm coming to a town near you. That's all from me. Back to the show.
But so yeah, I was aware of it, but not, and even like not like it's difficult, I'm well spoken where I'm from, so like people would assume there's a wee bit of an obsession with class, I would say, at home, to the point where, you know, if I was to say like very much from a mixed family and probably lean toward, I would feel more comfortable in like a working class environment.
Yes.
Whether it's like you know, the kind of bar you'd be in or anything like that, as opposed to something very middle class, I would feel a bit not overly comfortable.
Yes.
I get by, but I'd rather be in like a more working class environment. But back home, I feel like we're very much, you got to be in a box, whether it's religion or class, you know? Whereas I've never focused on the class thing at all, you know?
No. Do you not think so? Do you think it...
People at home would be like, he's very middle class, and I would never challenge that or, you know, defend. It's irrelevant to me, you know?
Do you think that exists in your stand-up? Like, even if it's not explicit, even if it's not there, that actually there is something of this being in between the two classes that exists within your work? I'd
play on it if I'm gigging at home, for example. So I was doing a gig in the middle of West Belfast, in a place called Ardoyne, which is a estate just outside Belfast city centre, and we were doing the gig, and it's in the middle of this estate, and it's a wee social club kind of place. And some girl shouted out something. She said, made some reference about like making a quick getaway after the gig, something like that. She shouted, "What car's yours?" in a very broad Belfast accent. Right. And I said, "The nice one." Right? So, but the audience, so I'm playing, but the audience know I don't mean that. And it's not nicer really than anyone else's. But like, it's fun to play on. So if I'm doing a gig in like what people would consider like a, you know, a rough part of Belfast, I'll play on that.
Okay.
You know, and it's fun.
Yes,
and then maybe I might even go the other way if it's a very fancy corporate type thing. I'll play on I'll go the opposite. So I like having a bit of fun with it, and it's the same with religion. There's an obsession with like what religion you are.
Of course.
And I grew up a middle class side of family, working class side of family, but to my knowledge, I might be wrong, no one in my family, like aunties, uncles, cousins, that sort of thing, would go to church of any kind. So I've never felt a religion ever.
Right.
But then people get annoyed. They think you're trying to be neutral when you're like, no, really, it's just never been a part of my life. So it's confusing, you know. And
it's a lot to think about.
And I think what I found fun is just teasing people and being able to, you know, in that stand-up, you're talking about whatever I need to be. The reason it's called that is because, you know, even how you define yourself as Irish or Northern Irish.
Yeah.
And I would say, but people would get annoyed that they think this is trying to, pander. I would say both or either or whatever. I don't care. And I make the joke in the special that I'll be, for money, I'll be whatever it is that you need me to be.
Okay.
But it's also not that important to me because it's a personal, I would say I'm Irish or Northern Irish.
Yeah.
Both. But, you know, it doesn't really...
Well, do you know what? That's there's something in that you're talking about, I'll be whatever, you know, you want me to be. Well, that sounds like... And maybe I'm looking into this too much. I don't think I am. There's someone that's trying to connect with people, whoever you are. You're kind of almost change shape, morph shape to be with them. And stand-up is, because there's an audience there, it's a, you know, vast collection of different people, perhaps different classes, different genders, different races, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
That there is a bit where you've kind of, you know, you've got to be able to appeal.
Yeah, and I think
to all of those people,
it's fun because a lot of performers and artists have this like, this is my identity.
Yeah,
and you know it. But I think to show up and the audience know, you know, if I'm in West Belfast, you know, and I'm cozying up a bit, but as long as they know that he's joking, you know, I kind of like it because not everyone would, I feel, would do that. You know, they would make it seem like I'm the same as you.
Yes,
but when you're just playing with it, I like that.
So when you were younger, do you think that you were kind of unconsciously, if you were, say, with some middle class kids or middle class relatives, that you would kind of shapeshift into that a bit more, and then if you were with the working class kids, you would shapeshift into that a bit more?
Possibly. No, I think I was always pretty good at being me.
Okay.
Probably.
All right, fine.
Probably would have been. I never remember consciously trying to like I always would have like dressed the same. Until I was 16, I wore a football top and tracksuit bottoms every day of my life. Every day. And now I'm kind of going back to that a bit.
Nice. Good.
Like I think about 3 years ago, I just had this dawn on me where I was like, I can just wear football tops in day-to-day life.
I wear T-shirts with my favourite films on them.
Yeah.
That's like a child.
But there was probably a point where you
40.
thought, I'm too old to do this. And then
Totally.
you realise you can again.
Yeah. Isn't that being a dad?
Yeah, I
We
think so.
kind of just end up kind of reverting back
I think so.
to being children. So what were you like before you go to this secondary school, which we know about? You weren't the most academic of children, you say.
Yeah.
Well, what were you like before you ended up at secondary school then as a child, generally? Were you shy? Were you...
Shy until you got to know me.
Right.
And then a bit of a sort of chatterbox. But like primary school, I would have moved around friend groups quite a bit. And I think maybe it was because I didn't have a brother and sister until I was much older. So when I was at primary school and stuff, I didn't have any siblings.
Right.
But most of my cousins came from big families.
Yeah.
So I'd have 5 cousins in this house and 4 in this house.
Yeah.
And I loved being in amongst that and fitted in really well amongst them. But then it was difficult to know what do I do here almost. Like I feel like my cousins who had loads of siblings knew how to fit into friend groups in school.
Okay, that's right. But was that something that you had a yearning, you wanted to fit in with them, but you didn't know how to...
Yeah. I remember being mates with a couple of kids in my street, and I even remember as a kid going, I do the calling for, I come and call for you. But I don't ever remember being called for. And I remember, shout out to Ryan Kerr.
No.
I haven't spoke to Ryan Kerr maybe 25 years. I'm not sure what he's doing with himself now.
Yeah.
But he was a mate of mine back in the day. And I remember, he'll not remember this, I remember you used to call for him at his back door. I remember calling for him one day and his dad answered the door. And I called and I said, is Ryan there? And his dad was like, no, he's not. And I remember being able to see him.
No, don't. No, mate. Shane, I can't handle that. No.
And I said to you, instead of going, okay, I'm walking off, I went, no, I know he's in, but does he not want to come out? And his dad went, nah.
Oh, no, Shane.
But that didn't get me. I was sort of,
You were bulletproof.
Away we go, yeah.
Shane, why do you think that he didn't want to hang out?
I think because he had brothers, and I think I was not intense in a serious way, but because I didn't have brothers and sisters, if I got a bit of time, I'd be like, what are we doing? Let's go and do this, let's go and do that. And it was just a bit...
That's very sweet.
I wasn't chilled enough because I think I was wanting to bring you in too much or too quickly.
God, it's Shane again. He's so needy.
I know.
Oh, no.
He's saying we should cut our hands together and shake hands with the blood. And we've already done it 10 times in the last week. I just have no blood left in my system. Blood brothers with everyone. I don't know. And I wasn't I could have been overbearing, maybe. I'm not sure, but I think I just didn't know how to just be chill.
Also, hang on. I mean, his dad might have not wanted him to play out for some reason. We don't know the story.
Yeah. But I had a group of friends in White City in that estate I'm talking about for a lot. That was my core group of mates when I was in school. But in school, especially towards the end of school, I'd have found I got on well with nearly everybody.
Yeah.
But just didn't have that friendship, that solid friendship.
Okay.
But kind of got it, but was able to talk to anyone.
Yes.
And
where did being funny fit in at school? So I suppose the all-boy... What's that like then, an all-boys school? Is that a private school? Is that...
Yeah, well, it is if you didn't get the result in what we call our transfer test, you paid. So it was, I don't know, £900 a year, not like what these bigs, the schools in England and stuff would be, but
which is tens of thousands of pounds a term, I think.
But it's still a wild concept in Northern Ireland that. So But my mum's logic, and I completely get it now, is that because I was this daydreamer and struggled a bit academically, she thought if I went to this kind of, you would say, prestigious school, that I would raise my level to that. And at the time, the only thing that devastated me about it was that it was an all-boys school.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and because that's,
Of course.
you're feral, you now,
Yeah.
I also was that much of like uncool that like I wouldn't have been dating girls anyway, but
No,
I wanted
of
the
course
option
not.
to be declined.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
So I remember just really wanting to go to the secondary school in Hollywood, because that's to me where my friends were going.
That's what I was going to say.
I think
That's where your mates would have been going.
I think academically I'd have done better there, you know, but I completely understand the opportunity she wanted to give me,
Yeah.
you know, because that could have really worked out. And actually, it might have in a reverse, in a weird, because it was such a relief then to go to
we're
college.
Here, you're here, and
Yes.
and you're a successful
Yes.
stand-up that did his dream. So
Yeah.
I think these things are all kind of that's the path, isn't it?
Yeah.
They all lead to here.
But once I realised that from about what we would call P5, primary 5, so what age are you then? 6 or something. I actually, I feel like I probably don't, but in my head I've told myself, I remember the moment where in primary 4, we were working on a joined up handwriting, and I couldn't do a capital G the way the teacher wanted me to or something. And I remember she made me go out of the room to practice it, and then she was going to come out. And I remember the pressure got to me and I just couldn't do it. And I remember at that point going, I've got to have something else here. Like,
Wow.
I knew going back into that room, this isn't me, and there's going to be more instances like this.
I have to say, I find that I really find that fascinating that memory stands out to you.
It does.
As
Couple of
something-
times like that.
Yeah, that's huge. Can you think of the others off the top of your head? Don't worry if not.
I remember playing football, P6, so say you're 10 maybe, and we had a game against another class, just like a kick around, not a school game or anything.
Lunch.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
and I at one point should have passed the ball and didn't, and shot, and we didn't win the game. And
Oh,
a couple of boys in the class told the teacher.
What?
So again, not an official game, and for the rest of the year, she would come back to that in a way.
What? Like what? It was just a lunchtime game of football.
She would. This is now. Bear in mind,
You won't get this reference, but this is just for any QPR viewers of Class Clown. He was basically Tommy Williams in the playoff final against Cardiff. Carry on. So
Thank you.
just for QPR.
anytime I've been in London on a Saturday, I've gone to see I've seen like 3 or 4 QPR games. That's the place I go to.
You a QPR fan?
No,
Come on, mate.
I'm a Man United fan, but if I'm in London
What are you talking
and I
about?
can go and see a game, I go to QPR.
Dude, you're a QPR fan. Come on.
Okay, I'm in London, and when I'm in London, I'm a QPR fan.
that'll have to do.
And the
we
last
need
ga-
to work on
the
that.
last game I
can't
was at-
believe you can, dude, I've normally got a spare. Sorry, this isn't the pod now, but I've normally got a spare. Give me.
I'd love to.
I live around the corner.
I'd love
That's
to.
where I live. I moved there to watch the game.
I'd
so
love to.
please give
I'm
me a
here.
text. We'll
I
go.
would love to.
Wonderful. Anyway,
I
so back to
remember
this teacher who's calling back to
anything
you.
to do with
What?
anything to do with sharing or whatever, or not sharing.
Yeah.
She'd be like, he'd know about that. And I remember.
That's really got me.
Can I tell
this
you-
one pass that you were meant to make, it's not even
Can
a
I tell
real
you what?
game.
The shot was
It's
on.
lunchtime.
The shot was on. The shot was on. Like, the shot was on. I could have passed, but the shot was on. And I'd already scored in the game. That's irrelevant.
Okay.
And then there was a moderator by chance who brought us all into the library and without our teacher, and was like, we do this once a year. It's your chance to give feedback on your teacher. And everybody, did anyone have any feedback? And of course everyone was like, no. And then I convinced a few boys I was kind of friends with. I went, just back me up here. And she mentioned she had a cat once, right? She had a picture of her cat on her desk. She only mentioned it once. And I went, she'd be teaching us things, and then she always does talk about her cat too much, like all the time. And I feel like she's not teaching us things because she talks for her cat like an hour a day. And a couple other boys were like, yeah.
That's so good. That's so creative.
I was like, I feel like I'm not learning because I'm just hearing about this cat, and they backed me up.
Was that revenge?
That was complete revenge.
Did she manage to stay on the job?
Don't know, because that was towards right the tail end of our
Yeah.
year, you know.
Oh my God! Can I have it? What was her name?
Miss Easton.
Miss Easton. Can we have a word? Yeah,
Yeah.
just sit down.
Yeah.
Look, Shane's told us about the cat.
Yeah.
You just keep talking about the cat.
She's like, I mentioned the cat once. And 3 witnesses out of 4 say you didn't.
Okay, so obviously that stayed with
But
you.
I
Well, hang on a second. What was the long-lasting effect? Was there a long-lasting effect of this not making the pass?
no.
Oh right, okay.
It was just like some jibes,
yes,
you know. But
yeah.
but then
But it's not led to you kind of being an adult or being a dad now. And
I'm a prolific striker.
Yeah.
Is what it's made me.
But it's always
No,
you always have to share because you've got her echoing in your head.
There's no
Right.
no nothing from
Fine.
that. And look, that was just because I think you're at that formative years or whatever. That probably is a bigger deal. Really, most of the time, she's probably a good teacher and not probably
course,
a really
don't worry.
good person.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's just the things that stick out to you.
And look, listen, you should have passed.
I should have passed. But see the guy that was calling for it, Chris McBride, couldn't score a new cabinet with a knife.
Sorry if you're listening.
Yeah, no,
Slam, no right to reply.
he was
I'm
a solid
sorry.
player. I'm just saying he shouldn't have been that far up the pitch.
Okay, yeah.
Shot was on.
So also all boys school. Tell me about this now. Obviously, you kind of don't know. There's no other kind of parallel universe where you know what it's like to be in the other school. But I'm very intrigued as to how being in an all boys school would go on to inform who you are in later life, the kind of way you interact with the world. The stereotype, I think, goes that kind of boys are in an all-boys school and then they're kind of let out because they've not been near any girls. They just kind of go utterly berserk.
Yeah, I think I channeled that kind of energy that you walk in with in the morning. You know, when you're going through puberty or whatever, or that kind of like.
I actually don't. Genuinely, I don't know
You
what you
haven't
mean.
gone through
What's
it
the
yet?
energy?
You haven't-
I'm looking forward
Imagine
to
you're just a
puberty.
late developer.
I'm a very late developer. I'm really looking forward to it. My voice dropping and all of that. No, but this. What do you mean? This walk into school? What a confidence.
I just no, you would just have that energy.
What do you mean?
Like when you're a
I don't know
teenager,
what- I
you
don't know
probably, I don't know, you're maybe just like horned up a bit. You're maybe just.
Oh,
a
we're
bit,
talking
like,
about your libido here.
Yeah.
I had no idea, Shane, that we were
Yeah.
talking about your libido.
Yeah.
All right, so you go in and you've got a sexual aura.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not. I have to say, I'm not aware of having had the sexual aura at secondary school. Entering the classroom,
I
was
think
pretty
you just like.
frigid.
But I could completely see what you mean about when we would be around girls. Like, say we went into the city centre on a
Yes.
Saturday with some people from school, guys being wild. And you're like, man, what? Like, when they were around girls.
Yeah, right.
And you're like, man, what are you doing? I don't think I ever had that. But I
Okay.
think I channeled, I just realised, like, the only thing to do here is to, instead of chasing girls, it's chasing laughs. I was like, literally, like, I remember an ad for some shoe shop being on TV at the time, and I could do a really good impression of the guy in the ad. And I remember just doing it in class one day, and because everyone watched TV back then.
Yeah, of course.
People were like, how'd you do that? And it was just like a very generic American accent or something.
right, okay.
And it blew people's minds. And I was like, oh, if I could do an impression of a teacher.
Okay.
People, I remember people coming up to me from other classes in years and being like, can you do that?
Oh,
So it was like
amazing.
almost like getting around.
So you're getting some attention
Yes, but it was attention for like making people laugh.
an ability to do something.
Yeah.
And so there was an effect there. There was a kind of cause and effect of being at an all boys school.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
It meant that there was a kind of a bigger need almost to
Yeah, probably.
to make people laugh. That was the currency.
Yeah, but I was still shy in a way. You know, I like, as in, I realised, like, I then went, oh, at school I make people laugh by doing this thing.
Yeah.
But if I would say outside of school, I wasn't really confident. I would say I was completely average in terms of like confidence, and also even now with this job, we're chasing making people laugh. I'm
Yes.
not someone who, when I'm off stage, is on.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
there's times I'm sure where I am, but I don't want to be. I don't chase being the center of attention or the loudest in the room or anything like that.
Right.
I always, even at school, I felt like I knew how much to do it. You know,
Yeah.
just do a wee bit of funny stuff and then leave it. You know,
And do you think that's because? Do you think today that's because being on stage kind of satisfies that hunger,
Maybe,
and so
yeah.
you get it on stage, and so therefore
Yeah,
you don't
maybe.
need it off?
maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So would you? So you do the impressions at school, but then when you were outside of school, did they not know what you were like in school? Were you almost filling kind of two different roles?
Yeah. I'd say like at home and in my family, like especially I'm mentioning going down to where my granny lived. Everybody was funny. Everybody was like loud, and you had to like, even from a young age, you had to like be able to give it and take it.
Yeah.
I remember
Okay.
you'd almost walk into my granny's house, and it's probably where like you're able to like almost do a bit of crowd work on stage or deal with hecklers. You'd almost walk in, even as a child, and you'd eye up like, right, who's here? Whose car's parked? What might they say? What have I got ready to go? And you're
Oh
8.
God, I couldn't live like that.
You're 8.
Yeah.
And like and you are gonna be picked apart. But by the way, it all comes from like people be saying
Yes.
the wildest stuff to you, but it never hurt
Yeah.
because you were like, oh, if I said like, they knew I didn't like that, it never ever would have been mentioned.
Yeah. Of course.
But if you walked in with a new pair of shoes that you thought were great, like say I'm wearing these bright green Nike shoes,
I've noticed them, my friend.
if I'd walked into my granny's house back in the day in those,
Yeah.
people are being phoned to come down from other houses.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I wore Vans, white, the checkerboard Vans.
Yes, the skateboarding.
And no one in my
skateboarding.
family had seen that, and I just got rinsed for a day, and
Yes.
physical stuff too.
I did that.
No, really.
Physical stuff. What like?
From being a child, like I had like as a kid, I had really big ears and buck teeth, and then it kind of grew into my head a bit.
Okay, yeah. Like Men in Black when that guy's been shot in the face. Your head's kind of grown into it. Yeah.
But you'd have had fun made of you for that.
So those. Right, but by the time you start stand up, you have grown into your head, so
Yeah.
you don't have to kind of
No.
deal with kind of putting these fires out.
Yeah.
Before you've spoken. Okay. And obviously another stereotype that comes with an all-boys school is bullying.
Yeah.
Was that... did that exist in yours?
Yeah.
And were you on either side, or were you just viewing?
Probably both sides of that.
Really?
Like never ringleading anything, but when I was maybe 12, 13, around that kind of age, again, I was probably trying too hard. And again, that thing of like falling into different groups of friends, or these are the popular guys, so I need to get in with them.
So you did want to be in with the
Yeah,
popular... I had that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to be in with the
And
popular...
And you have that... I even remember the feeling of like probably being like, these aren't good guys. Like... and I was like,
Yeah.
why did I want to be mates with these guys? But certainly...
Well, it's belonging, isn't it? There's there's
Yeah.
always a thing of belonging, and
Yeah.
and I think the comedian as well is belonging. You want to belong, you want to connect,
And you probably end up, because you're trying to impress, you probably make a prat out of yourself a bit, and you're doing things that aren't you because you feel like you can't be you, or these guys won't want to be mates with you in the first place.
Well, again, that's the shape shifting.
Yeah.
That's the shape shifting.
Yeah.
Can you remember any things that you did?
I remember they would go and smoke in like these trees near school, and I remember going with them. Now, I never would have smoked in school, but I was just there and getting like caught a few times by teachers who knew everyone there was smoking, and I was like, oh, I actually wasn't, but the teachers had you in their head as this boy who does this thing.
Yeah.
So I remember like being in with this group and then not being in, then a bit of bullying for a while, but nothing awful. Nothing really awful.
It sounds like you're on the outside of
Yeah, that's probably what it felt like.
of things.
Yeah.
Do you think that could be to do? And I'm just putting this to you, so look, this might not be the case. But if before you go to this school, you've kind of got this kind of working class part of you, and then this middle class part of you, and those two worlds don't tend to mix that much. And then you go into a private school where I'm going to just assume that then most people would be from the middle class.
Most, not all, but
not
most.
all, but most. And then again, you kind of, it's like you're kind of neither here or there.
Yes, that's probably a great assessment of it. Yeah, and my interest was football. I want to play football, but the school had no football team.
Oh, God.
And it's rugby and hockey. So even like the thing I loved the most, which was football and still probably is, there was no outlet for that.
Right.
So I didn't get bullied to the point where I dreaded going to school.
Mm-hmm.
There was name calling, there was that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then probably there was times where I would have seen that happen and not done anything about it, or just be glad that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I hope no one would ever think that I bullied them.
Yes, yeah.
But I probably didn't stop people getting bullied, even though I could recognise that happened to me. So why would I not? But then again, you're 13, 14.
And I was going to say, and at that age, I don't think as much as adults or teachers might try and drill into you the kind of consequences of that, you really don't.
Yeah.
Realise until we're older.
Yeah.
Doing. All right. So you're not academic.
Nope.
You get to the exams. You get to. Did you have any? Oh, it's creative. You like creative.
Loved it.
You like the writing and history. You go to college. You have to retake maths.
Yeah. Also, when I left school,
yes,
this is primary school and secondary school.
Yeah,
I knew I wasn't going to maintain contact with anybody.
Not one
person.
What's that about? That's very unusual.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about? Why?
I just felt like, I was saying bye to so many people, and if I saw, I think literally anybody I went to school with, I would stop and have a real nice conversation. There's no issue with anybody.
Yeah.
And there's friendliness there and warmth there. What are you up to now and all this kind of thing. But no friendships. I just never got to that point really.
Have you analysed that for yourself, looking back?
No, and I don't think there's any. It's maybe the same thing about like the divorce thing when you're very young as well. I don't feel like unfulfilled in any way.
Yeah, right.
And again, another thing about the religion, about never having had any religion. I feel very content.
Well, I'm glad. That's wonderful.
I don't feel I missed out on anything, and I don't look back and go, I wish I had friends now who I had gone to school with.
Yeah.
Because I have great friends through football and stand up and come and where I grew up.
Yeah.
So there's really no. I don't see an issue with that, but
there's no issue.
But even though I say it, I realise how that you'd be like, whoa.
It was just slightly unusual, and it makes me feel like perhaps that you hadn't found. And I'm aware I'm putting this on you, and it's not, I'm not not trained to do this. But my personal opinion of that is, it sounds like you kind of didn't quite find your place yet.
Probably.
If you're leaving both schools, going, well, I'm never going to see them again. It's like you've not really kind of settled into who you want to be or who you're going to be.
But the first week of college, I went, I'll be friends with these people.
Right, let's pause there. Well, that's the end of part 1 with the brilliant Seann Todd. You can get part 2 right now. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/classclown. So hit the link in the episode description and head over there now for that. For non-Patreons, you'll get part 2 next week. And of course, as always, please do us a favour, hit like, subscribe, share the episode with anyone you think will enjoy it. That helps us make the show bigger and better. We appreciate that greatly. See you soon for more Class Clown.